Dallas. We've been here with Dallas before. Now, this, of course, is the whole moving forward series, and what are they going to do? Dallas, I'm actually optimistic coming out of this season. That being said, we are in a league where 16 out of 31 teams makes the playoffs, and therefore I don't really have a whole lot of confidence that necessarily next year it's going to be a division title and all that. But there's some good reason to think that Dallas should be able to at least make the playoffs in back-to-back seasons. Now, looking back over the last 4 years, the first year that I had this channel going, they finished 50, 23, and 9 with 109 points. They lost in the second round to St. Louis. If that sounds familiar, it should. The difference was in that series against St. Louis, they didn't have goaltending. Goals, yes. The defense was okay, but the goaltending just wasn't there. Then the year after, they fall to 34, 37, and 11, 79 points, missed the playoffs, and realized we got to make some changes. Last year, 42, 32, and 8 record, 92 points, missed the playoffs. And there were a lot of warts on that team, and people realized it. And then this year, 43, 32, and 7, so they get one more point, one more win, one less overtime loss, and they make the playoffs and they get out of the first round. So it is possible that win over Nashville in the first round did what I had been afraid of. During the season, I said, this team needs some more work. There needs to be a change in this roster, and if this team makes the playoffs and they do anything in the playoffs, I'm worried that Jim Nill's going to go, well, we're on the right track, and just stop. And I still have that concern. That being said, Jim Montgomery had a solid first season as coach, and I like the way he coaches the team. I think that he's trying to do the right things. I think the problem was this team definitely had challenges. Goals for, they were 29th this year, goals against second. So without the goaltending of Ben Bishop and Anton Hudobin, this team's nowhere near the playoffs. This team is down below Arizona, be a hardworking team that just doesn't get goals. And the goals against wouldn't be anywhere near what they were. So the good news is, if you're looking for players that are 24 and under, you've come to the right place. Heiskanen, excellent young defenseman. He's going to have a pretty solid second year next year, I'm guessing. Esa Lindell, and I know everybody talks about the diving. Honestly, the Lindell diving thing, that was news to me. I hadn't seen him dive the way he did against St. Louis, and yeah, it was embarrassing. Rope Hintz had an amazing rookie season for Dallas, and we'll see whether or not he can follow that up. He has the offense there. You get the feeling that we're just scratching the surface with Hintz. And Jason Dickinson, he seems to be developing more into the everyday NHL player that Dallas drafted in the first round years back. Nichushkin, he can go. They could get rid of. I would not mind if they got rid of Nichushkin. Bayreuther, I thought, played well in the quarter of the season that he played. It'll be interesting to see if he plays more games next year. Gurianov, he's fast. He has good skill with the puck. Not puck luck at the NHL level, however, but I think he'll get a chance to step into a regular spot next year, at least out of the gate. Julius Honka, of course, is known as a first-round bust, and I'm not sure if he's a Dallas Star next year at all. I don't know that he necessarily is. And Dylan Hetherington, who had a smattering of games in the regular season, made an appearance in the postseason. Maybe he gets some more appearances next season. Either way, I like the depth they have on the blue line. Now, they're at $60.8 million in cap spent for next year out of a potential $83 million cap. So, if they want to keep Matt Zuccarello, they can. It is up to him to decide whether or not he wants to stay. Please, Mats. Please. On behalf of the entire Dallas Stars fan base, please stick around. Spezza is going to be leaving as a UFA. He had a good playoffs. He'll get offers. I don't think he's coming back to Dallas. Ben Lovejoy, you know what? He played really well. Even at 35 years of age, I think he'll get offered an extension by Dallas. Whether or not he takes it is up to him, of course. Polak, I don't know. I would not be entirely surprised if he comes back as well. And this is kind of where the playoff run might hurt the turnover that needs to take place, where Jim Nill can look and go, you know what, during the playoffs, this team got me into the second round. These guys were part of that. I want to keep these guys around. Rather than when your team misses the playoffs, you go, well, this didn't work. I'm going to have to figure things out, and these guys are going to have to go. So people who might have left, maybe they stick around when you make the playoffs. Fadoon. Fadoon was a great story all year. Fantastic to see him play a ton of games this season. I've always liked Fadoon as a defenseman, and I'm glad to see him get some games. I think he'll stick around. I think they keep him. I think he'll get his first real-looking contract where he might make some actual real money this coming season. And Mathot. It just didn't work with Mathot in Dallas. So, potentially this summer, a team could pick up Erik Karlsson and Mark Mathot, hoping for healthy Mark Mathot. I'm not sure that there's a healthy Mark Mathot to be had, but some team will likely take a chance and give him a contract this summer, even if it's a professional tryout in September. On the restricted free agent market, you've got Janmark, who's an arbitration rights holder, and he didn't have a great year, honestly. Brett Ritchie, he's also got arbitration rights, did not have a great year, hasn't taken that next step forward. I would not be surprised to see Jim Nill move on from him this summer. Dickinson, as I said, I knew I spelled that wrong. I knew I did. I've been looking at that since I put it on the board. Like, that's not right. So I spell it right over here and I spell it wrong over there. It's one of those days. So yeah, Dickinson's got arbitration rates. I don't think he'll get a large raise because he didn't have the totals this year, and I think he's going to be a bargain next year. Lindell. Lindell was their best defensive defenseman this year. Really came into his own. I know. The diving, right? The diving. You guys are thinking about the diving? Damn it. It's too bad because he had a great year. He was fantastic. Jim Montgomery couldn't say enough nice things about him. Neither could his teammates, and that's sadly going to be the remembrance. He's the guy who dies, right, and throws his arms out when he gets tripped. Yeah. Honka doesn't have arbitration rights, and again, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if Dallas doesn't give him any kind of offer at all, and they let him leave as an unrestricted free agent. And Bayreuther, who has arbitration rights, played 19 games. He'll probably stick around, probably for a little bit less money than he may want, but it'll probably still be a pretty good contract compared to what most of the rest of us make. So, looking at all of this, the reason why I get nervous is because they were 29th in goals for. While we see guys like Hintz and Dickinson having that hard work, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's going to be 20 goals from Hintz and 15 goals from Dickinson and 50 points from from different sources, and that it's not going to be a team that relies on Radulov, Benn, and Sagan. Yeah, Ben's coming back. If anybody thinks that Jamie Benn's actually getting traded this summer, there's a phrase from Letterkenny that I'd like to use, but keep it RPG, so I can't. But give them a tug. They were 3-4 in their first 7 games this year, so they were slow out of the gate. December 9th to 23rd, they lost 6 out of 8. I remember during Christmas break being in Vegas and thinking, well, I didn't get to see the Dallas game tonight, but they lost, so. January 6th to 17th, they lost 5 out of 6. February 7th to 19th, they lost 5 out of 6 at that stage as well. Now, they won 5 of their last 7 games to get into the playoffs. They win in round 1 against Nashville. And then they have a very spirited 7-game series with the St. Louis Blues, where they're up 3-2 before losing games 6 and 7. So, it is a glass half empty, glass half full season if you're a Dallas Stars fan. How good are they? How good could they be? The trick is there's not really any help on the way if you think they need some more reinforcements. A lot of good young talent, but Ty Dellandrea, very, very unlikely he's going to be in a Dallas uniform soon. Jason Robertson, same. And Jake Ottinger in net. He's going to need at least a couple of years, I would think, to get himself into a position to be a National Hockey League goaltender. The good news is they have Hudobin, they have Bishop. The bad news is Bishop gets hurt a lot. The funny thing is we talk about the diving that Lindell's known for, and then people talk about Bishop diving. Honestly, sometimes I don't know that it's necessarily diving all the time. I think that he's been injured so many times and for so long, I don't think it takes a very large bump for him to really feel it. I think he's kind of brittle. And that's unnerving when that's your starting goaltender and when goaltending is so important to your team getting back to the Stanley Cup playoffs next year. So again, it's glass half empty, glass half full. They have cap space. If Zuccarello doesn't re-sign, they can definitely afford to go out and bring somebody in. This is why they were one of the finalists for John Tavares, because they knew they were going to get cap space this coming summer. So my guess is Jim Nill was trying to work out a contract where he'd have Tavares signed for a year and then signed for another 7 soon after, and something like that, so that it would have had a lower cap hit for him in year 1 and a higher cap hit when the extension kicked in after. Doesn't end up mattering at all, does it? But it does mean that if a guy like Panarin can look at Dallas and say, this is a big enough city for me, you might have yourself a destination for him. But again, we'll see, right? I do think Dallas is going to be active because they have to do something about their scoring depth. Nichushkin was brought back with the idea that he'd help their scoring depth, and surprise, surprise, he didn't. Yeah, surprise, surprise. I remember when he left Dallas and being like, thank God he's gone. And people like, oh, well, Lindy Ruff didn't give him enough of a chance. It's not on him. And then he comes back for a lot of money. So this is his last year. This is Nichushkin's last year coming up. But I don't think he's going to be with the team. I think they're going to come with some kind of agreement where he leaves. I think he had 1 game in the playoffs, and thanks. So yeah, we'll see what happens with Dallas this upcoming season. It's going to be interesting, and they could be a team to watch on July 1st for those big name free agents. And the decision being, remember too, they were in on Erik Karlsson as well. So if they were somehow able to finagle themselves in Erik Karlsson this summer, and you got Karlsson, Heiskanen, Klingberg, Lindell, yeah, Dallas fans are going to be excited at that idea. But I do think they're going to be active. I don't see anybody getting a huge raise. I mean, if Zuccarello comes back, that'll lead into it, but not completely. So, be a very interesting summer. See what Jim Nill does. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. As always, don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.